and welcome back. It's time for another live. Hope you're all having a great Saturday morning, start to the weekend. I'm just going to see if I can get Julie from Revive Fitness on. Really size, nutrition, and how all that relates to cancer, because it's absolutely fascinating.
Hi.
Hello, Julie. Good morning. How are you?
Morning. All right. It's Saturday morning, right? Can't
I
complain.
know. The two Julies are taking over today, aren't we?
And to be honest, I think it should be every day. Like, this is it. Like, just how we should live life, taking over the world.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm so excited to have you join me today for a live. Just this topic is it's fascinating to me, and I think there's so much that we can learn about it.
Yeah.
And just so much information out there that is quite confusing. So it's really good actually to get some real professional advice and information about everything to do with fitness and nutrition, and then obviously what I'm really interested in is how that relates to cancer as well. So if we get started, do you want to just give us a quick run through of your journey of how you actually got to where you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think everyone assumes when you are into fitness, you've always been into fitness all your life. And that's not the case for me. I was 35 the first time I walked into a gym. And before that, I was like working in a corporate bank, 14 years, working all hours under the sun. I'd live off full sugar Coke. I wouldn't have breakfast. I'd live off, meal deals and then ready meals. And then obviously self-serving, to stress relief of alcohol at the weekends, all the beige food that you can imagine. And my weight just kept going on and on. But I was in denial. I was totally in denial. I was like bragging, oh yeah, I live off Coke and crisps, that's my diet, and I do all this stuff and I'm super productive and I'm, hitting bonuses and I'm getting promotions, and that was the reward for me, right? I was the high achiever. And if someone said, hey, can you do this? Yeah, sure, no problem, because it's all about climbing that corporate ladder of career. And then one night going home, first night I'd finished work for ages on time. I don't know how familiar with Edinburgh, but we have cobbles, as you do in many places in the country. And I never wore like stiletto heels or anything, but I got it was like an Ugg boot, so it was quite a thick heel, and it got stuck in the crack of a cobble. And I was walking fast because I was like, I was always walking fast because I'm on a pace, I've got things to do, right? I'm going places, I've got things to do. And my heel got stuck literally 2 minutes from my door, and I hope you're not crazy, Julie.
No,
And,
no, it's fine.
and then that was it. That was like, I just remember this like twisting motion. And then I went to put my leg down, and I was like, oh shit, I've like broke my ankle or something.
No.
And then luckily there was a lamppost, so I could hold onto the lamppost, and there was this other woman, and I had trousers on because I never wear skirts or dresses very rarely. And this woman was like, do you want me to call you an ambulance? I think you've broken your leg. And I said, yeah, I think I have. And that was kind of the start of it all for me. So like on the pavement, and a cold February in Scotland, waiting 40 minutes on an ambulance coming to scoop me off. And I actually think they didn't believe me. They thought, women in heels, that kind of thing. So they bumped me across the cobbles. And then once they got me into the ambulance, they took my boot off, looked at me like, oh yeah, that's broken.
Oh no.
Yeah, so then it was like 4 nights in the hospital waiting to get the operation, waiting to see if you're on the list. And then they put pins, well, they put me to sleep initially when I got to like the A&E, they put me to sleep to put my leg back in place. And I thought that'd be me going off home. No, you're in until you get an operation. I was like, all right. I was like, okay then. Still like on BlackBerry working in the hospital, that's the times. And then got admitted to the ward and was waiting to see if we can get the operation. Finally got the operation, took the pins and the nail in, and they were like, when they done the like x-rays to check it was all in place, they realised my ankle was broken as well. So if I do things, Julie, I like to do it proper, right? So I do it proper. So the doctors were like, that's an impressive, because it's like a spiral fracture. And I was like, okay, then. And they're like, it's a life-changing injury. And you're kind of like, yeah, whatever. You don't really, what does that even mean? You just think, yeah, crack on with it. I was like, it was the time before we had all this technology, right? So before we had this connection, we had mobile phones, but we were just texting, and that was about it, depending on your phone plan. And so then the occupational health person came round to make sure that you're, you know, independent to go home. I lied to get out of the hospital. I lied about being able to dress myself. All those things. I just had new bathrooms fitted and they wanted to put rails in to help me with the look. I was like, you are not touching my bathroom. Like, you're not touching them. So I managed to like navigate my way out of that. And then it came to the Royal Infirmary in Edinburgh's massive, just huge. And then they just check you out. Off you go. You've been on this ward for days. You've got a broken leg, been through all this trauma, and then they give you a pair of crutches. I was a size 18 plus, so I'd never been to a gym in my life, and they gave me a set of crutches to try and get out of this hospital. My mum managed to find this old rickety wheelchair because it was just like this massive walk, never mind when you're that weight. I mean, yes, crutches are like for mobility, but not if you don't have any upper body strength. It is horrendous. And then I got back to my flat, and when the physio teaches you going up and down stairs, they don't account for, what about curbs? How do you get up and down curbs when you've got nothing to grip onto and you've got crutches? And then mine was a spiral staircase up 60 stairs to the top of our tenement. So the spiral stairs 60. So I had to hop because I was in strict non-weight bearing for 68 weeks. So I had to hop all the way up the stairs on crutches, size 18, like your heart's like pounding out of fear. This is first time, you've got zero energy because you've been in hospital, you've been nail by mouth waiting on operations for so long.
Yeah.
And it's just like the reality then kicks in. Because then that 6 weeks at home, I was in my own personal lockdown before lockdown was a thing. It's like, you know, my husband had to go to work, he'd get me up in the morning, dress me, and then I was on my own all day. Because everyone's off doing their own lives. They've got work, they've got commitments, things like that. And then I had to have a chair to get between rooms in the flat because I was just like, you know, to get to loo, anything. And this will make people laugh, but this was like my reality check. I had my backpack on because I had crutches. So I thought I'll go and have, rather than standing at the kitchen worktop having my lunch, I'll go and sit down in the living room for a bit of change. So I put my pot noodle, I know it's still bad nutrition then. I put my pot noodle in the side bit of my backpack, crutching through, and I would sit on the sofa and I tried to lower myself down and just hear my pot noodle pouring out onto the carpet.
No. That's a real reality check, isn't it?
Right, I'm like, that's just like sucks. And then obviously I couldn't get to it, so I had to look at these noodles on the carpet all day. And I was like, this is dire. Like, so at that point, that's where I kind of made that commitment to myself, that the realization, I suppose, that you're only responsible for your health. When something goes wrong with your health, it's you who has to deal with it. Yes, you might have support in different ways from families and friends, but I mean, all you guys who have experienced cancer will know it's you who's got to go for the treatments. It's you that's feeling the side effects. It's you that's managing other people's emotions and all of that. And you take all that on board as well as everything you're going through internally. And I think for me, it was just that realization that when something goes wrong with our body, it massively impacts our health, hugely impacts our health, but also the quality of our life. Yeah. And what does that look like? And we lose an element of independence, and it's frustrating and it's annoying. And yes, like, just for you guys, you know, all my clients have had cancer. You can't predict that. You can't, you know, stop that happening. The same with an accident. You can't, that shit's going to happen. But what I thought is, if it does happen, our ability to bounce back and our resilience is so much better when we're in a healthier place physically and mentally. Yeah. And that was my kind of commitment to myself, that I will never let myself get in that state of health again. Because if something does happen, I know it'll be, not that I'll be easier per se, but I'll be able to get through it. I'll have more resilience, I'll have better health, I'll have upper body strength so I can use my crutches and all those things. Yeah. And when I was going for the intense physio, because I had to learn to walk again, the physio said to me, like, I don't know, I had this intuition that I had to lie about what I was doing before. So I was like, well, what activities did you used to do before? I was like, oh, I like running. And I'm like, really? Right. He's looking at me going, what? He's like, so how far and what sort of times would you run? And I was like, oh, I just do it for fun. Like, I don't really time it. I just go. I'm like, yeah, run for the bus, and that's about it. But it's like, so I just knew that they ticked the box if we got her walking and that. Yeah. Yeah. So I just felt that was a need. And so I probably got a bit more physio than I would have done. But at one point, the physio was like, that's as far as we can take it. You're always going to be hopping up and down stairs for the rest of your life. And I was like, I live up 60 stairs. Like, there's stairs everywhere. I'm not going to be hopping around. And I was like, right, I need to join a gym. I don't know why. This is my thing. I thought, I need to join a gym. And my husband was like, are you going to join a gym for? Like, really? And I was like, what's the worst that could happen? Like, I don't use it and I cancel the membership. So I went along and joined the gym. It was Pure Gym in Ocean Terminal in Edinburgh, and got your induction as you do, shown around. And I was that person who's sitting the outside with all the kit around the gym, just like watching, looking a bit sheepish at things. And I get dizzy coming off the treadmill because I've never walked on one before. You know, you walk on it and I'm like, whoa, okay, things like that. And for me, that was a starter. And then I kind of hired a PT, Ryan, who's like my little brother now. So it's that whole thing. And it started about, he said, what is it you want? And I was a bit like, said all the usual stuff, but I don't know what it means. When you tone up, no idea what that meant. Those phrases you hear about, when I tone up, when I lose weight, obviously I've got my leg break, get stronger and stuff. So I started PTing with him, and the focus was really around exactly that, building up this leg strength and mobility again. So that I could learn to walk normally again. I wasn't settling for the physio saying you'd always have to hop. And I mean, to be honest, Julie, thank God I didn't, because I think if I'd settled for that, I wouldn't have changed anything in my lifestyle. I would have just kind of given up and gone for that.
Yeah.
And I always say, and I'll say this to yourself and everyone, you're the expert in your own body. Yes, they've got knowledge. Yes, there's techniques, there's things that can help. But I think you've got to give things a go and see how far you can take it and tune into your own body. Like we have this phrase for people who are doing cancer rehab stuff with myself, work to pace, not to fatigue. And I think that's really key about understanding where your pace is, because you don't want to burn out, right? You don't want to be like, just kill myself. Like most people do, right? They start off at the gym, even if it's just weight loss. They're like, going to go all in and do 5 classes in a week, absolutely kill themselves, and then you'll not see them for another year. So it's that whole thing about working to pace and knowing your own body. And I think when you start on your fitness journey, as I did, you start to tune into things. And I started on the fitness journey, and I started doing like program Ryan had given me my PT. I do a session with him, and I got a bit braver, joined group fitness classes. And then one PT was like, why didn't you join a grit class? I was like, what's grit? I went on YouTube, Les Mills grit. And me and my husband looking at us, that's a bit intense. That's a bit intense. You want to do that? And I was like, well, give it a go. And it's like, she recommended it for bone strength. The whole thing about, that thing about working your bone, putting it under pressure, helps to promote growth with the bone and regeneration of the bone. So I thought, I'll give this a go. And I went along and I became absolutely addicted to grit. And then the gym cancelled the license for it. I was in, here's me, 35, never been to gym before, 18 plus, then like a year and a half later in the office of this manager, complaining to him about removal of this class. I was like, who's this person? Person. And he was like, Julie, why didn't you become a grit instructor? I was like, don't be daft. And then I looked into it and I was like, oh no, I can't do that. You need a qualification. It's a PT or music and stuff. And then Les Mills rang me back and said, oh, we're doing a trial where you can do the qualification before you get your PT certificate and stuff. All right, so I booked myself on this course. Oh my God. Like if I'd known now, I would not gone. I turned up, all these people, 18 years experience of being PTs and all that stuff. And here's me not even knowing how to put a microphone on, having to learn choreography first time. They were like, you'll eat loads because you're doing so much exercise. No, I was stressed to the hilt. I did not sleep. The choreography went in my head. It was just like the most stressful thing in the world. And by the end of that weekend, I hated grit. I hated it. Absolutely. I'm done with this. But anyway, got through that, done my video and got my qualification, and then started teaching as well. So then I was in the place where I was doing the corporate side. I ended up doing my PT qualification. So I think it was about 6 weeks that I had no day off because I was doing corporate. Then at weekends and evenings, I was doing my fitness qualification and going along to that training. So yeah, a good 6-8 weeks I had no day off at all because I was doing that on the sides. So it was pretty intense. And basically I got to the point where it just grew and grew, and I was doing like fitness stuff in the morning, in the corporate office, running across to the corporate gym at lunch, running back again, back to corporate, and then doing that at night. I've probably done that for a good 2 years.
Wow. It's fascinating. Your story, I think, is such such a unique picture, but I think it's something that we can all relate to, that things can change so quickly. Like just walking down the cobbles leads to breaking your leg, which then like just leads to this snowball of change. But I love your determination and how you're actually going about it, and you're focused on getting like recovery, and you're focused on getting fit, and then it just goes from there, and to then be running classes. It's just amazing.
Absolutely, and I always say that I think we put too much pressure on ourselves, and it's what I was saying about starting out the gym. I'm going to lose this weight. I'm going to do this. For me, it was never about weight loss. Weight loss came as one of the outcomes of just getting
Yeah.
fitter. So for me, it was more about being an independent woman, being able to move our bodies and do what we can and get back as much mobility as you can. And I, at one point I wanted to be a physio, and then I went, no, 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 because people never do their physio. It drives me nuts. It would drive me nuts. I've seen it. I've seen it. Nobody does their physio. Like, don't get me wrong, some people do it. My clients will say, do your physio. Have you done your physio? And I'll make them do physio during our Zoom sessions. And they're like, Julie's going to say, and I'll message them, do your physio. And it's like, because I know for the physios, they might not see you for like 3 weeks, sometimes 4 weeks, depending on what it looks like. And it's because I know the importance of your mobility. So I will be like, Julie, have you done it? Have you done it? What's going on? Yeah. And just like me saying to you, go and do that self-referral. So it's that whole thing, right? I'm going to hold you accountable because you've got to live with your body. And if you're struggling to wash your hair, put your arm in your coat, it's all reminders of what happened to you in a negative way. And it's that thing about, whereas I can look at back what happened to me and go, geez, it was a life change. It was a life-changing injury because I went on to change my health, my fitness, my career, and everything I did now. Whereas I'd probably still be a health certificate. I'd be a health statistic in corporate world on who knows what medication and still massively overweight and just self-soothing through all those things. Whereas actually now I get this set me on a different path, as you say, you just don't know where life's going to take you. So I might take the pressure off and go, okay, this has happened to me. I've had cancer, you might yourself have cancer, you're going through all the processes of the different reviews. And I always say every time the bubble kind of bursts when you get a review because it all comes flooding back. But I always say you get to pick and choose how much of it plays into your life and what you do with that. And I think, but underlying for everybody is around the fitness side. Like, you've got to start with fitness. And I say that in my own journey, because fitness then helps with your informed choices around eating. Because if you're eating rubbish and you go and do a workout, my God, you feel it. And you'll regret it. And Julie, you'll be like, why did I have the burger and chips? Why did I have, the sweets? I feel like it all goes to my legs when I work out. It feels like it just hits the legs and you can't really move. And it just makes you, eat better, make better choices. I always say to people, like, if Friday night snacking is really hard for you and that's your kind of thing in front of the telly, or a Saturday night, book a gym class or, an online session or something the next morning, because I guarantee you'll not make the same negative choices if you've got something to get up and do fitness that next day. It'll help you make more informed choices around nutrition. And, I started with fitness, and then obviously I've started to realize that impact that nutrition was having on my health in terms of, yes, you can still work out, but your performance will be pretty poor. And it makes it harder. And I think with nutrition, we sometimes take the easy option right now, right? It's easy to get takeaway. It's easy to soothe ourselves. We're feeling a bit rubbish. It's easy to have that comfort food right now than it's to say no to it. But ultimately, as a result, it's going to make it harder for you in the long run because you're going to get frustrated. So it's kind of going, right, I can make the easy choice now, knowing that it's going to be harder for me in the long run. Or I can make the hard choice, have the healthier food. And I'm not saying you have to miss out on food, you really don't. It's about going, right, I'm going to have this, but I know that this is going to serve me better in the next 72 hours.
It's getting into those healthy habits, isn't it? And it perhaps takes a bit more effort in the beginning, but it definitely pays off in the long run. And I think for me, so I was diagnosed with breast cancer last June and had surgery in August. And it was almost like the day I had surgery, everything changed. So, I had no mobility on my right side because I had my lymph nodes removed as well. So I couldn't even lift my arm. And then October, I started on chemotherapy, and I've just finished radiotherapy. And I wasn't especially fit before, but I used to do a lot of walking. I used to enjoy doing yoga. And I was always out and about. And then after surgery, it's like everything just stopped and there was nothing. But then my confidence went as well. So when I tried to get back into doing some sort of yoga or training, part of me was too scared because I was like, can my body actually take doing this plank or this downward dog? And another part of me was just thinking, this is so strange because I should be able to do this and I can't anymore. It's like my mind and my body were out of sync, and it's taken a lot. I mean, I did do physio. I didn't do it as much as they suggested, but I
Yeah.
did do it.
Yeah.
But I was like, 100% I want to get my mobility back, really do. And like you say, just washing your hair, just being able to put your hands up, you don't realise actually how much it affects your life if you've just got a slight change or slight impairment to any sort of mobility.
Yeah, 100%. And I say that it's, you know, we really do take our bodies for granted, and it's not till something happens. I mean, you know, it's like even if you just cut your thumb, you realize how much you use your thumb. You go,
Yes.
ow, all the time. It's like, what?
Yeah.
But then you forget once it's gone away, you've totally forgot that you had that
Yeah.
experience. Then I always say, like, you know, mobility is underrated. And as females, the more I've gone into like the stuff I've learned about female health, obviously the cancer rehab stuff, and more I've learned about female hormones and how important they are as well to our joints, aching joints, and all that stuff. Because obviously, people with cancer are forced through menopause early, that
Yeah.
10-year process just hitting you bam over, you know, a matter of a few months, the
Yeah.
impact that has, and mentally as well as physically, is
Yeah.
huge. And things that you can do around, you know, exercise is still going to help. As we say, that frustration about not being able to do things that you say you've gone through, and again, you've just gone through your radiotherapy, right? So the burns are going to come out. You're going to have to care for that. Make sure you're moisturizing it, looking after it. And
Yeah.
again, you know, with anything, it's a wound. It's a wound. It's a scar tissue building up, thickening, which also then prevents movement. So it's really tending to that wound, and that's hard because you've got the emotional wound as well as the physical wound.
Yeah.
But it's that thing of like being brave and knowing that taking care of your physical wounds, rather than, I think we can become disconnected from our bodies and hating our bodies a bit. And it's actually going, okay, I'm going to work with you. We're going to do this together. And this might sound a bit like woo woo because I'm not a woo woo person. But that whole thing about just like working with your body and going, I'm going to take care of you because I know if I take care of you and break down the scar tissue, get into it as much as feel uncomfortable to begin with, it's going to help me in the future
Yeah.
with mobility, with being able to wash my hair, to put my bra on, take it off,
Yeah.
whatever that looks
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
for you. So all the small things. So in the future, you can just do them, and you're not going to do them and be like frustrated and annoyed. Now, I'm not saying everyone's going to get the same mobility back as they started
Yeah.
with, because you just don't know where it's going to go. But at least as you've tried, you're not going to have that regret, right? They always talk about regret being the worst thing. If you've given it the best go you can, it's okay. I've taken it to where I can. But if you've not, then you've got to live with that
Yeah.
restriction and knowing that you maybe didn't push it as far as you can. It's
Yeah.
not about blame, but it's more about just so you've not got regret, where you can be comforted by the fact I've done everything I can possibly do
Yeah.
to heal as best as I can and to get my
Yeah.
mobility back.
And I imagine as well with like, I mean, I know we've both had different injuries, but I imagine with injuries where something happens very suddenly, you've got a small window probably to actually get into the physio and start to actually get back as much as you can.
Yeah. And I was going to say that's with everything, like quite rightly, Julie, as you say, that's everything. You've got a small window
Yeah.
because once everything starts to form, they say, I learned with my leg, after 3 days, your body learns not to use that limb. So
Wow.
it isolates. So everything, all the connections, which you were saying was weird when you're like, it doesn't
Yeah.
feel like it's part of me anymore, because all those connections are lost within 3 days. So the physio is not just about rebuilding the muscle, it's about reconnecting and letting the brain know it's okay to use that arm again. It's okay, because the body wants to protect you, the brain wants to protect you, and it's going, like you say, downward dog and stuff. It's like, Julie, no, no, we need to protect ourselves. And you have to go, no, no, it's okay, we've got this, we can do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
So there's that part of confidence in you, but also giving your body confidence and letting it know it's okay to do this, we're not going to hurt ourselves. And
Yeah.
it's really tuning into the difference between pain of using a muscle and, ooh, that doesn't feel like a
Yeah.
good pain. That's why I explained the difference between the two. So that's
Yeah.
when we would take it too far. And it's that thing of going, actually, again, tuning into not just on that moment, but what happens the next day. So you really drained the next day, or you really sore the next day, and
Yeah.
you're not able to move the same way. So did you take a little too far? And that's okay. It's just about learning. I always say it with my clients, every session is a play session. We see where we
Yeah.
take it. Always tuning in, how are you feeling today? How does that feel in the body? How did it feel the day after? And if you came back to me, Julie, went, I was absolutely good. I was like, right, we just take it down a notch.
Yeah.
Yes, it's frustrating, but we're just working with the body rather than against, so we can get you where we want you to be quicker
Yeah.
than if you push, and you're always going to get setbacks.
Yeah, there's a huge element of self-awareness, isn't it? And being aware of what's going on for you and taking it one day at a time, because every day's different for everybody, isn't it? And it's fascinating as well how, like, we don't realize how much is going off in our heads that we don't realize, where our brains are trying to protect us and our bodies are following that, but we don't actually realize what's going on. So it's fascinating to just get that information. And I am about to start active recovery. I did do my self referral,
Good.
and I am starting active recovery in a couple of weeks. So it's a brilliant program where if you've been diagnosed with cancer within 5 years, you get access to free fitness classes and all sorts of different sessions for 9 months, which is amazing. So I've got my first one-to-one in a couple of weeks, but the guy I was speaking to about that, he was talking about fatigue and how complicated that is. And like you were saying, it's about stopping before you've gotten too far, which again is really hard actually, isn't it? Because you either get into the momentum and you want to keep going, or you feel like you need to be able to do more and you just aren't aware that actually you should just bring it back a little bit.
Yeah, and it's all, it's that experimentation, and that's why I say don't worry about it. Like, don't think, oh my God, I don't want to go too
Yeah.
far and hit that fatigue, because the fatigue is awful. And it's that thing about, like, there's different levels of fatigue. Like, my fatigue is going to be completely different to yours because obviously the treatments you've gone through. And it's that whole thing about you will learn, though. It's just another learning curve. And with all the hormones, that comes to lack of. And it's that whole thing of going, just get curious. Just stay curious. That's the best thing. Is be curious about body. Where can I take it? How's that feeling? And, we're saying that about fitness, and I know we're speaking about nutrition as well, but also nutrition's key with that. So I'm like, if you wake up fatigued, because a lot of time we can put it on the physical side, which gives us a bit of an excuse not to do the stuff we're meant to be doing. Oh, I'm a bit sore today, I'm tired today, and we can blame it on the physical side, but not on the fish and chips you had the night before.
Yeah,
Right? So there's right. So what I always say to everybody is that if you wake up feeling fatigued, not so great, what happens 72 hours? The last 72 hours, what happened? Have you been stressed? Did you not sleep as well? Have you not been on your hydration? Have you been hitting up the coffee too much? So yeah, and so I'm like, what about eating? Have I got protein across all 3 meals? Have I been craving food, sweet treats, and I've been having more than I would normally do? I'm a comfort eating a bit, like really holistically, everything that's happening in your life. Because I always say it to my nutrition clients, it's not just about what you eat, it's about whole of life. And I get to know my clients very well because I'm like, what's going on? And it's that thing of what leaning out and leaning in, as I refer to it, is there's times when people have got stuff going on, like I have clients have massive things going on with families right now, and I'm like, let's just take that training and move it to Saturday instead of Wednesday because you're a bit under the pump here. So it's not going to add value. And I always say that it's about, with fitness, is to add value. Yes, it helps you feel good. Movement gives you energy, but there's times to pull back if there's other areas of your life which are, getting on top of you and you're feeling like you're under the pump, and that fitness session is just going to add more pressure than benefit you. Then just take that one off and, deal with whatever it is you've got going on. But I think, like I say, it's whole of life, it's everything, it's relationships. Relationships are a massive point of stress. I noticed that in my life. Where does my stress come from? Relationships with parents. Jeez, that's another conversation. But it's that whole thing about like nutrition side is huge as well, because it is so true. When you eat crap, you feel crap. And I'm all about, it really frustrates me the amount of things that are sold to people out of fear. Drink this, drink that, don't have this, don't have that. And then you've got loads of people on Instagram got like titles like doctors saying this, and it's complete utter fear nonsense and crazy, crazy diets. And especially around like with cancers, they talk about things like eat almonds and that'll help cure cancer, and all sorts of crazy myths that are out there. But ultimately, for everybody, it's about eating a variety of whole foods. Get your protein in to help your muscle recover, help your body recover. And protein's really your building blocks. And then on top of that, you've got your fruit and veg, all the colours you like, as much as you like. Nobody ever comes to me overweight because they've eaten too much fruit. This whole, it's sugar and fruit. No, it doesn't happen. But avoid the fruit juices. And the reason I say that is because with fruit juice, they squash it. They take most of the fibre out of it. Get some missing fibre in it. So you're going to drink more of that than you would if you were having the whole fruit. So if you look at the ingredients of a smoothie bottle, like an innocent smoothie, for example, let's say like a banana, 2 apples, a handful of blueberries, you lay that all out. I challenge anyone to do this. Lay all that fruit out that's meant to be in that smoothie, and then try and eat all that fruit and see the difference between drinking that, right? So that's where you end up getting too much sugar from fruit juice, because it's all squashed and condensed versus a whole fruit. But fruit is not bad. Like, honestly, knock yourself out, eat as much fruit and veg as you like. And if you're like, oh, I'm really craving, I'm hungry. Well, if you're not eating the fruit and veg that's in your house, you're not really hungry. There's something else going on. You're comforting, you're bored, you're stressed. There's just something else going on. So what is that? And I think that's the uncomfortable bit we don't ever talk about. But it's that thing of going, what's actually going on with you? What's happening?
it's just taking a step back, isn't it? Just pausing for a minute and just being like, okay, so what is this about? And it's, yeah, I mean, I've found it really difficult to navigate my diet since having my diagnosis, because there's so much conflicting information out there, and I'm like, can I eat pineapples? Should I not eat pineapples? Is it okay to have this? Can I have sugar in my tea? And I must admit, I did cut out sugar in my tea probably about 4 years ago now. And I didn't like the taste of it for about 2 years, but I stuck with it. And now, I mean, it's taken a long time, but now I don't need it. And it's getting into that good routine, isn't it? But yeah, I'm interested to hear from you, not just cancer related, but nutrition in general. Like, what is your ultimate thought on nutrition?
I wish I had I need to be a better marketing, right? I wish I had some like sexy title to sell people, because then I would like get the flocking that other people do when they go, cleanse juice, £120 a month, and people, intelligent women buy that. I'm like, you just buy fruit juice, people. So like, it's really not hard. We like to complicate things, and I think, why do we like to complicate things? Because then people can sell you that thing, right? If it's complicated, or you can't do it on your own, Julie, you've got to buy my juice, you've got to buy my powder, you've got to buy my this. And these companies that sell the lifestyle with it, like all these women like to give her friends, hey, and all the lifestyle, look at us all healthy and glowing, and buy our products for £300 a month, all that shit, right? But you can tell I'm totally not about that. So it's really simple. It's so simple, but we like to make it complicated, because then I think we also got an excuse. Because if it's complicated, if it's expensive, then that's why we're overweight. That's why we're not taking care of ourselves, because it's hard. Right, so that's a bit about easy. So all the fad diets are easy to blame, because one, they're so restrictive that they're not sustainable. But actually, if you look at a diet, all you need is whole foods. That is it. And what we mean by whole foods is something you can tell what it is. So you can tell a chicken breast is a chicken breast. Okay. You can tell a tomato is a tomato. You can tell what that food is. But when you get to things that are maybe like chicken nuggets, and you open that up, and you're like, does it even look like a chicken breast? What's the mushy texture of that thing?
Okay, yeah.
And there's even a frozen food company, I think they're called Roots. So they're like, looks healthy on the outside, frozen veg, Roots. What's it? They had spinach nuggets, and I'm looking, God, how to make vegetables unhealthy. It's covered in bread, it's fried. It's like a serving's like 3 of them, which is tiny, which is never going to fuel you.
Yeah.
So it's that whole thing. We've gone away, we've gone for convenience, but actually, how easy is it to, I mean, put that in the oven, I don't know, it might take 15, 17 minutes for 3 little nuggets as you're serving, versus cooking yourself just some veg in a stir fry. Get some chicken, some stir fry, done in minutes, and it's going to fuel you. It's really simple, of going back to like what our grandparents used to do ultimately, which is your meat and veg. That is all you need, your meat and veg, and in your fruit as well. 80% of what's in supermarkets is crap, and we just don't need it. We just don't. And when you're eating whole foods and you're eating healthy, you don't need half the stuff. Supermarket shopping is so boring. It's so boring, because you go to like the meat section and you buy like your chicken or fish or whatever, and then your fruit and veg, and that is it. There's nothing exciting in that. So it really is that straightforward, and it's not about not being human and want the cakes or the biscuits at times. By all means, go and have them. I say to clients, if you're craving it, go and have it, because if you build it up in your head, then you'll overindulge, because you'll end up eating more. And what's really powerful is when you've not had that food for a while, you go back to it, you're like, oh, didn't even taste that good. Like, you build this thing up in your head, right? And I had a client who had, I think it was in the office, there was a Krispy Kreme donut, and she's like, oh, it's Christmas, Krispy Kreme. Have one, just have one. I got a message later on, oh my God, why did you let me do that? I feel like crap. I feel awful. I'm like, good.
Yeah.
It's a good thing, because then you see what works for your body and what doesn't. And I say, like, yes, there's similarities between our body, like me and you, Julie, but similarities, but there's also lots of differences. So food that works for you wouldn't work for me, not just in taste and textures that I don't enjoy, but generally what lifts you up and what depletes you is different from one person to another. And that is the power of tuning into that. But marketing has food engineered everything. So they want you to go back and buy more of it, and that's why you get flavor enhancers and everything. Oh, go back and eat it and have more. You know, that's why Pringles, once you pop, you can't stop, right? Whoever goes to fancy a Pringle? Nobody. Nobody ever goes, really fancy, I'm craving Pringles. It's like, no one. But they're there in the supermarkets, and we buy them, especially around the festive period. And then what you know, you open it and you eat the whole lot, and they're gone. And they're literally potato and oil. That is it, potato and oil. And I think it's about 5, I've done a reel on it before, I think 500 calories in a tub of Pringles. Right.
Gosh, yeah.
So just think about that thing, strip it back, and all the stuff you get told, cancer related or not, you ultimately just need whole foods and eating fruit and veg and a variety of diet, just as like say your grandparents did. And it's not any sexier than that, it's not any
Yeah.
interesting than that. And it's really just having the food you enjoy. And yeah, if you want to have a Chinese, have a Chinese. If you want to
Yeah.
just tune into how you feel afterwards. If you want the cake, have the cake. But again, tune into where you are. And also watch out for your feeders. Okay, this is one. Here's your what feeders? What feeders are the people who go, "Come on, Julie, let's go for a coffee and cake."
Yeah.
You're like, "I'm gonna go to a gym session." All right, what about we do afternoon tea? Afternoon tea is just a plate of blooming carbs, right? It doesn't even fill you up. It does because you're stuck with carbs, but afterwards you'll be like starving. So it's that whole thing about the people who are like, "Do you not want a drink? Why not drinking? What's wrong with you? Like, why not having a drink?" So those people and family members, because when you're trying to eat healthier, you've built up your place in your group, right? So people say, "Julie, she loves chocolate cake, so I'm going to buy her chocolate cake." So she loves a chocolate bar. So your birthday, your
Yeah.
Christmas, whenever you're out, you'll have the chocolate. The person who always eats the leftovers, here you'll have those last chips. Right?
And it's social, isn't it? Like we're so
Uh-huh.
used to socializing and having like the frothy coffee and like you
Yeah.
say, going for cake and things like that. And it's, I can see like from what you're saying, I think sometimes in life we just want there to be this magic power that we suddenly realize there's this huge secret going off over here that makes it so easy to be fit and healthy and lose weight and look and feel amazing. And actually it isn't, is it? Like we hear about all these fad diets coming in that are trying to feed us these illusions that actually this is the one that will work.
Mm-hmm.
But we always need to just go back to basics, and it is just about having, like you say, the protein and the meat, vegetables and fruit, which is what I think we probably all know, but it's actually just remembering to take it back to that.
Yeah, and I often get a lot of clients to say, "Oh, but I like variety in my food." No, we're not that interesting. We're really not. Like, you might have chicken cooked in different ways, but it's still chicken, right?
Yeah.
So is that when we don't even, we like to think we're quite exotic and we have all these different flavors and interests. It's like, well, you can add those, but ultimately you're still having
Yeah,
chicken. You're just cooking it a different way.
that's
And
true.
breakfast is always the biggest battle. And people are like, "I'm not hungry in the morning." But you're not hungry because you're having coffee before you have your breakfast and it's switching off your hunger cues. I see it across the piece. As
Ah,
soon as I get a client that goes, especially if they've got a sweet tooth, I'm like, "Do you have coffee in the morning before breakfast?" "Oh, yeah, yeah, I'll have coffee because I'm not hungry." And like, that's because you're switching off your hunger cues. So I'm not saying don't have coffee, but what I am saying is eat before you have your coffee. Don't be having coffee, just coffee for breakfast. And
okay.
it's about getting the protein in, because if you get the protein in the morning, it's going to stop you mid-morning craving the sweet treats, just having the biscuit, the cake to get you through to lunch, and then it'll stop you craving in the afternoon. You might still get a craving in the afternoon, don't get me wrong, we're human. And then later on in the evening, when you have your dinner, you'll be fuller rather than looking around for food. I know if I've not had enough protein in the day, after my dinner, I'm like in the cupboards looking for food. What have I got? What else can I eat? And I know it's because I've not had enough protein during the day. So I'd
Yeah.
say like a kind of egg fueled breakfast, something protein based in the breakfast to set you up for the rest of the day or pay you dividends. And when it comes to lunch, the soup and sandwich thing, get rid of it. Like, no, it's not going to fill you. Like, if you have a proper homemade sandwich where you can have a whole chicken breast in it, go for it. But if you're buying like a Tesco meal deal, it's not going to fuel you, right? So I always say, if you're in the supermarket, go to the normal section. Like, so don't go to the meal deal section. Go buy yourself a bag of salad or whatever it is. Buy yourself a whole fruit rather than pay like Marcy's charge, what's it, 90p for the chopped up apple. Go and buy one around the corner for like 20p or something, you know? It's
Yeah.
that whole thing. To stay away from the lunch section in the supermarket, go and buy the bag of salad. Go to the meat section where they've got like cooked meats, like a chicken breast, a cold chicken breast. Yes, it'll probably have a bit of salt and sugar in it, but it's going to fuel you up more than the meal deal section.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you with that. um, so I've recently been more aware about exercise and its relation to cancer, and I've heard recently that exercise can reduce the chances of people getting cancer by up to 20% and reduce the risk of recurrence for someone that's had cancer by up to 30%. And this is just exercise, which blows my mind and is definitely a motivator for me to want to do more exercise and get fit and make that a priority in my day. I'm intrigued to know what you think about how to maintain momentum, because I think when we start something new, we're all motivated and we always hit a bump where we're like, it's dropped off then. How do you push past that and stay motivated to make this a long-term thing?
Yeah. So first up, so to cover that around like cancer and exercise, yeah, the research is coming out. I took part in a 2-year clinical trial, which was giving exercise, nutrition, and emotional support online through Can Rehab, which is the charity that I trained through, who pairs us up with people. And they're still working on the output from that because that was 2 years. I think it was 1,400 clients we worked with over 2 years, the COVID period. So they're doing all the research around the, to back that further. But yeah, it's definitely seen the thoughts around it is cancer doesn't like an oxygen-rich environment. So by getting oxygen in, moving your body, cancer's thought not to like oxygen-rich environment. So we know like obesity is a factor and being overweight, amongst other things. But it's thought by that sedentary way, you're not, getting the blood pumping around oxygen around the body, and that's where your exercise comes into play. Now, your question about motivation. Motivation comes from taking action. Okay, so did I feel motivated to work out this week? Not always. Yeah, and you can sometimes procrastinate. Oh, well, I'm going to do this workout, not do that workout. Oh, and then before you know it, you're into lunchtime. Oh, I'm going to have my lunch now, so I'm not going to work out because I'm going to eat lunch. Oh, all right, I'll wait till later. Oh, no, it's dinner time now. Oh, I need to do this. Oh, missed my workout. Right, so first up, I say motivation comes from taking action. Are you always going to feel like doing it? No, you're not. Okay, but it's taking the emotion out of it and doing it anyway.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, take the emotion out, just focus on the action.
Yeah, and make sure you know what you're going to do. So you've got it planned in just like you would a work meeting.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to do my workout at 10 o'clock and it's going to be this workout. You've got your stuff ready to go. So, and you just do it without thinking it. Like you brush your teeth in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you just do it and don't think about it. Music is key for me. Personally, I need music to work out. And it's a big factor. If it's rubbish music in a class, I'm like, oh my God, it's painful. So music's a big factor for me. But even then, there's still times I don't feel like working out. And I might be like moaning internally, oh my God, it's so boring, like to start off with. And then I'll get into it and I'm like, woohoo, let's go. I'm feeling so much better afterwards. But you're going to have times, and it might be more than one day. It might be a week because you're having a bit of a crappy week and you might be like just feeling fed up and a bit pissed off with the world. And that's okay. But just knowing that you're going to feel better afterwards because you still showed up for yourself. And I think that's a big thing as a woman, outside of cancer, just showing up for ourselves. Yeah. And it's harder being a female coach because men will invest in themselves. Females, money, we put it into the house, the family, the kids, the holidays. Men get money and it goes on a gadget, a GoPro, and a new bike or whatever, but we're really bad at investing in ourselves. So that's quite selfish. Oh, hope someone thinks that. But actually, you need to invest in yourself and invest in talking time and money and your fitness, whether it's a gym membership, a class, or whatever it is. Because if you don't, then where's your health going to be? So if doing those workouts, Julie, it's going to help you, not just in terms of the reoccurrence of cancer, but actually the mental side is huge. The mental side is what's going to help you with nutrition and making the healthy choices. It's going to make you feel more confident, feel better in yourself and mobility, all that stuff. And I think that's why for me, fitness is key because everything else feeds into it. Your nutrition, your mental health, your stress relief, sleeping better, all those things. And that's where I think fitness unlocks those different avenues and everyone has a different pathway to go. But that certainly for me was a key, was fitness led into nutrition, that then led into me doing everything I'm doing now. And I just think, and then it feeds into your mental health because once you've got your fitness, you're tuned into how rubbish you feel when you're not working out. So you can also test this. If you're human, you're going to fall off every so often. You might go on holiday, I just want a week off. And then you'll be like, oh my God, my body hurts, it aches because I've not been moving, I've been sitting. Yeah, so then you notice that. So then that's what motivates you because I'm just like, oh, I just need to move my body. I'm so uncomfortable from not moving. So that's where fitness comes into it. And then once you tune into how your body feels from not moving versus when you do, then you tune into the foods that lift you up and the foods that deplete you. And then you tune into how your mood feels with those foods, how your mood feels with training, and it all comes together. And then if there's things outside of that around your mood and your mental health, then you might be like, okay, actually, maybe I need to go speak to a therapist about whatever this is that I've got going on. Especially, I would say, around cancer, because you go through such a process of treatments, what's next, checkups, and then all the stuff you've gone through. It normally hits people after those treatments finish because they've not had time to process it because it's been next. So if you're on top of your fitness, your nutrition, it helps with the resilience of everything you guys are going through. But then there'll come a point where you're like, there's still something within me, I can't explain it. And that's why I say go and reach out to a therapist. I think we're so shy about therapists in this country. But I mean, the cost of them is not that different to a PT session. So But I think that's the stages. If you're like, where to start my health, I think fitness, nutrition, then hit up the mental health side.
Yeah, it's like starting off with a very small change, which actually creates like this positive cycle, doesn't it? Like you say, starting with the exercise leads into nutrition, then you feel better in your well-being and everything. And I think it must be about focusing on how it makes you feel afterwards, rather than thinking about how difficult it is to actually get going. So that's something that I'm going to remember, is just focus on how I'm going to feel afterwards.
Yeah.
Them.
And I say it's not about blame, but think about, so because you can't control reoccurrence, right? There's things you can do to minimize risk. That's what we're talking about. All this stuff is about minimizing risk.
Yeah.
And with everything in life we do, cancer related or not, it's about minimizing that risk. And it's that thing about how would you feel if it came back and you beat yourself up, if you're like, oh, if I had that month that I went to gym or whatever it is. So it's making sure that you're doing, again, it's back to that kind of regret thing, making sure you're doing everything you can to be healthy. And of course you'll fall off at times, you always do, but just see that as an experiment to go, that's why I'm doing it, because I feel the benefits of it. Okay, I get why I'm doing this for myself. And as a woman, it is being selfish. And, if your partner, your husband gets a bit grumpy because you've gone off to the gym, tough shit, what's he doing? Watching the telly? And he's just a bit bummed because you're not in the kitchen. So what? Deal with it, mate.
Yeah.
Get on with it, yeah? So it is about being, because as females, we're so bad. And it is about being that selfish and going, I'm taking care of my health because no one else is going to do it for me. Nobody cares if I go to the gym or not. Nobody cares if I eat healthy or not. They really don't. And when something happens in your life, you're the one that's left with deal with whatever that is. So it's kind of getting that stubborn with it. I think you said that about me before, about being stubborn, but being stubborn with it and going, I've got to be responsible for my health, moving my body, eating well, because no one else gives a shit. That's the truth of it. And you can't, yes, your partner might be bringing in sweet treats and the crisps and stuff, and you feel that they're not supporting you, but that's okay. That's staying your side of the street. That's their side of the street, staying yours. And over time, they will start to get curious when they see, oh, Julie's getting healthier and stronger. And you go to carry up your suitcase and you're like, did it easy, and they're like, oh my god, like, so it's that whole thing, stay on your side of the street, let them do their thing, don't force people to come on the journey with you. And they will start to follow and get curious and join in. But it's not about forcing change on other people in your life, it's about you staying in your lane and doing what works for you.
Yeah, and it's like you say, it's about taking that responsibility, isn't it? And being responsible for your own life and your own health, and putting ourselves first, which is really hard, I think, especially like you say, as a woman, and those of us that are mothers out there as well. It's really hard to actually say, I'm going to put myself first, I'm going to look after myself. It's really hard. And I know you've got a Facebook group page, Healthy Wild Women.
Healthy Wild Women.
I think is amazing, because that's one thing, like, I'm all about that connection and that support that we can have with each other, and just building each other up and supporting each other. I think it's fantastic. And I love, like I said at the beginning, I just love your mindset of how determined you are, and your journey of where you were and where you are now. It's just fantastic. And I just know that you bring so much fun to all your sessions as well. I can just feel that, which is really important, because if we're not having fun, we're not going to keep up with it, are we? And that's what life is about, is
100%. I say with fitness, if you really don't enjoy that fitness, you've just not found the thing you enjoy yet. Like, so many people say, I go running, I'm like, why? Someone says, I go running, they're like, what? What do you mean why? Why do you go running? Oh, to lose weight. Do you enjoy it? No. Why are you doing it then? Stop running. Like, just don't punish yourself. Like, fine, don't get me wrong, when you're in the realms of physio, it's boring. Like, no one's doing it, it's boring, right? But you've got to earn the right to do the funkier moves, as I call it. So whatever it is for you, if it's pole dancing, or if, running, or the thing, the drums, they've got one there where it's like drumsticks and stuff like that, whatever fitness it is that you enjoy, find that thing, keep trying stuff until you find the thing, and when you enjoy it, then you'll keep doing it.
And like you say with the music, I mean, that's a big thing, isn't it? If you've got music on that you love, it really helps you to actually get through a workout. And it's not, I think often we do think about exercise and being fit, about being at the gym or being able to run a marathon, and it's really not, is it? It can be so simple as doing a good walk, or like you say, doing all these different classes. It's not just about the aerobics in the gym and that kind of thing. It's about finding what works for you.
100%. It made me laughing because my clients, but I do basically online sessions with clients, so we're on Zoom and we do 2.5 hours a week, just because it helps fit in with their life. And whenever I say to them we're doing body weight today, they go, oh, because they know they're the hardest moves. Like, oh my God, no. Because they're standing moves, they're like, so hard, oh my sword. So that's why I start laughing. Because yeah, like so you have fun with it. It's like, yes, there's hard moves you hate, but it's having fun and having a laugh with it. And I'll talk at them. I will put her off last night, but someone's things were saying Taylor Swift's in Edinburgh, and I was like, imagine being a teenage girl running to Taylor Swift, and she was like, I laugh and put her off fully. But it is that thing about just finding what you enjoy and having fun with it and not getting too serious. Gyms can be very serious. Gyms have got too serious. Everyone's there like looking like, you know, gym bro face and gym buddies, like too serious. Just go in and own your space. And I just wanted to touch on a point there you said, Julie, about being a woman and it's hard to put yourself first. I was reading Gabor Mate's new book. Have you got it here? Yes, I have actually. Myth Normal, his new book. And in here, he's talking about the relationship between women who put everybody before themselves, they squash their emotions, and the relationship of why are so many women getting autoimmune disease versus men. And it is ultimately coming down to the fact that we put everybody before ourselves and we don't look after ourselves emotionally, mentally, physically. So like all the stuff's there. And so if there's anything that makes you want to go, it's thinking about actually, I don't want to get ill health, so I need to look after myself.
Yes. Yeah. If there's anything that should motivate you, I think it is just realizing that, isn't it? And to look after ourselves to then be able to look after other people as well. It's it's really important. Oh, I could talk to you for hours, Julie. It's been absolutely fascinating.
I know. And I was going to say, if you're still struggling, just imagine me on your shoulder.
Yes.
You've done your fitness. What's that you're eating?
Yeah.
What's that? Are you hydrated?
Well, it's already worked with the referral. I've done my referral, so I'm on that road anyway. So I'll have you here with me.
Yeah, exactly that.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been so interesting, and you've told us so much. So thank you so much, and I'll catch up with you soon.
Pleasure. And if there are any questions, then reach out. I'm always available in the DMs and stuff.
Thank you.
Anything at all, just pop me a little note.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, take care. Have a good day.
See you. Bye.